Greetings! Mandatory79 here, and welcome back to another deck profile video for Cardfight Vanguard Tier Days! Alright, let's get started. Pressing the A button now. Loading game and proceeding. Here we are in the main menu, going to edit deck menu. And now today's video, the deck profile I'm making in today's video is a Keter Sanctuaries, Hexaorb Sorceress, D-BT03. And first, I'm going to be using this Keter Sanctuary, Hexaorb Sorceress, D-BT02 deck as the base of the deck I'm going to build. Alright, let's begin. Going to edit deck. And here we are. And like I just mentioned before, the deck I'm building today's deck profile video is a Keter Sanctuary Hexaorb Sorceress deck made with cards only available up until D-BT03. So first up, let's go to filter settings, to pack, show only cards from D-BT01, Genesis of the 5 Greats, D-BT02, A Brush of the Legends, D-BT03, Advance of Intertwined Stars, and Festival Collection 2021, apply filter. Here we are. So let's begin with the grade 3 lineup. For the grade 3 to this deck, we're playing right deck, grade 3, Hexaorb Sorceress. Her skills are, first skill, auto as a Vanguard. When your drive check reveals a trigger unit, choose one of your rear guards and it gets plus 10,000 power until the end of the turn. And second skill, action as a Vanguard once per turn. If you Persona roll this turn, Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1. If the custom paid, reveal up to one critical trigger or one front trigger from your hand, put it on top of your deck, and this unit gets drive plus 1 until end of turn. So for Hexaorb Sorceress, she's the main grade 3 to run this deck. Her first skill, every time you reveal a trigger during your drive check, you can give one rear guard plus 10,000 power. So overall, if you're lucky enough to get a trigger, this first skill will add an additional 10,000 power to any rear guard, making it much more likely to pressure and finish off your opponent's whiff. And the second skill, if you Persona roll that turn, by paying the cost of Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1, you can take any critical or front trigger from your hand and place it on top of your deck, and your Vanguard gets drive plus 1. So for the second skill, it's a good way to guarantee yourself a trigger in your next drive check, and to also increase your drive to increase the chances of getting more triggers or to increase your hand size with. So for Hexaorb Sorceress, we got 4, one in the right deck, keeping it that way. Next up, the grade 3, Knight of War Damage Fasado. Skills, first skill, continuous as a rear guard. This unit cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects. And second skill, auto as a rear guard. When this unit attack hits, counter charge 1 and soul charge 1. So for Fasado, he's a very powerful support card for your Keter Sanctuary decks in any build. His first skill, it cannot be chosen by opponent's card effects, so it's more or less like a pseudo resist ability to protect Fasado and your rear guard from being retired, return to hand, bound, set the deck, locked, or any other skill that targets your rear guard. And the second skill, whenever your rear guard Fasado lands an attack on either an opponent's Vanguard or rear guard, you can counter charge 1 and soul charge 1. So this second skill is a good way to refund your counter blast for later skills and also stock up your soul for more soul blast later on. So for Fasado, we got 4, taking 1 out, we're playing 3 in the deck. Next up, the grade 3, Divine Sister Lepisto. I'm not going to play this anymore, so taking her out. And next up, the right deck, grade 2, Pentagram Sorceress. Her skills are, first skill, auto. When this unit is ridden upon by Hexaorb Sorceress, look at 3 cards from the top of your deck and put them on top of your deck in any order. And second skill, auto. When this unit is placed in the rear guard circle, look at the top card of your deck and put it in the top or bottom of your deck. If put in the bottom of your deck, this unit gets plus 2,000 power until end of turn. So for Pentagram Sorceress, she's the main grade 2 to run this deck. First skill, just by riding Hexaorb on top of her, you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck and rearrange them in any order. So for this first skill, it's a good way to once get a sneak peek of the first 3 cards of your deck to increase the chances of getting a trigger or to more or less know what card's going to drive check with later in your battle phase. And the second skill, just by calling Pentagram to the rear guard, you can look at the top card of your deck and choose to leave it in the top or bottom. So if you choose to put it in the bottom, she gets plus 2,000 power. So overall, the second skill makes Pentagram a good way to get a sneak peek at the top card of your deck to ensure you get a trigger or not, and to also potentially turn Pentagram into a 12,000 point attacker from the front row. So for Pentagram Sorceress, we got 4 and put 1 in the right deck, leaving it that way. Next up, The Grade 2, Exquisite Knight Owain, skills for skill, auto. When this unit is placed in the rearguard circle, if your Vanguard is Hexaorb Sorceress, Soul Blast 1. If the cost him hate, look at 2 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 2 cards from among them, put them on the top of your deck in any order, and you can put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. And second skill, auto is a rear guard. When your drive check reveals a trigger unit, counterblast 1. If the cost him hate, this unit gets plus 10,000 power until end of turn. So for Owain, he's a support card for the Hexaorb deck. The first skill, just by calling the rear guard while your Vanguard is Hexaorb, by paying a mere Soul Blast of 1, you have the chance to look at the top 2 cards of your deck and to rearrange them in either the top or bottom of your deck. So this first skill is a good way to more or less help ensure the chances of getting a trigger or a specific card you wish to drive check later in your battle phase. And the second skill, whenever you reveal a trigger in your drive check on your battle phase, as long as you don't mind paying a counterblast 1 for each time, Owain gets plus 10,000 power, so this second skill makes Owain a very powerful front row attacker for your Hexaorb deck. Just by revealing triggers in your drive check, as long as you don't mind paying a counterblast of 1, Owain can potentially become stronger. And the best part is, this second skill is stackable, as long as you manage to reveal multiple triggers in your drive check, and as long as you don't mind paying a counterblast 1 for each time you reveal a trigger, it's possible to continue stacking more and more power to Owain, making him a powerful front row attacker. So for Owain, we got 4 in the deck, keeping 4. Next up, we're gonna put in, let's see, the Grade 2 Magic of Objective, Kakarone. For skills are, for skill, auto. When this unit is placed in the rearguard circle, if your Vanguard is Hexaorb Sorceress or Pentagleam Sorceress, Soul Blast 1. If the cost him hate, look at the top 2 cards of your deck and put them on top of your deck in any order. And second skill, Continuous as a rearguard guardian. If your Vanguard is Hexaorb Sorceress, this unit gets plus 2,000 power and plus 5,000 shield, active on opponent's turn 2. So for Kakarone, she's another support card for the Hexaorb deck. Her first skill, when called the rear guard while your Vanguard is Hexaorb or Pentagleam, as long as you don't mind paying the cost of Soul Blast 1, you have the chance to get a sneak peek of the top 2 cards of your deck and rearrange them in any order. So for this first skill, it's more or less like Pentagleam and Owain skills, a good way to look at the top cards of your deck to ensure you have a trigger on the way, or to simply get a chance to know what cards you're going to drive check later. And the second skill, as long as you've got Hexaorb on your Vanguard, Kakarone can then become a 12,000 point attacker and a 10,000 point shield, thanks to the second skill. So for Kakarone, we're playing 4. There we go. Next up, the Ride deck, Grade 1, Tier Square Sorceress, skills for skill, auto. When this unit is ridden upon by Pentagleam Sorceress, counterblast 1. If the cost him hate, draw a card. Second skill, auto as a rear guard once per turn. When your drive check reveals a trigger unit, counterblast 1. If the cost him hate, choose one of your opponent's front row rear guards, put in the bottom of your deck. So for Tier Square Sorceress, she's the main Grade 1 to ride in this deck. Her first skill, just by riding Pentagleam on top of her, and by paying counterblast of 1, you get to draw a card. So for this first skill, it's mainly to be used as a Vanguard, as long as you got a counterblast to pay. Just by riding Pentagleam on top of your Vanguard Tier Square, you get to draw a card and to increase your hand size with. And the second skill, every time you reveal whenever you get the chance to reveal a trigger in your drive check, by paying a counterblast of 1, you can retire an opponent's rear guard in the front row and put in the bottom of the deck. So for this second skill, it's a good way to clear out your opponent's field of rear guards whenever you reveal a trigger in your drive check. So for Tier Square Sorceress, we got 3, taking 2 out, leaving 1 the right deck, okay? And next up, the Grade 1, Painkiller Angel, not gonna play it anymore, so taking it out. Next up, Grade 1, Aegis Mare Dragon, Sentinel, Perfect Guard. Its skills are, first skill, Continuous, Sentinel, second skill, auto. When this unit is put on the Guardian Circle, choose one of your units, it cannot be hit until the end of the battle. If your hand has 2 or more cards, choose a card from hand and discard it. So for Aegis Mare Dragon, he's a perfect guard for the Keter Sanctuary Nation. Like any other perfect guard in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, he features the same skill and activation. When used to guard with, by discarding a card from your hand, you can block 1 enemy attack. And he also has an ability unique to all D standard format perfect guards. When used to guard with while you have less than 2 cards in hand, you will not have to pay the usual discard 1 cost, making Aegis Mare Dragon a no-cost perfect guard in desperate last resort situations. So for Aegis Mare, we got 4 in the deck, keeping it that way. Next up, The Great One, Hexaorb Sorceress, skill, auto. When this unit is placed on the rear guard from hand, if your Vanguard is Hexaorb Sorceress or Pentagleam Sorceress, cost counterblast 1, discard a card from your hand. If the cost from hate, look at 2 cards on the top of your deck, choose up to 2 units from among them to call to the rear guard circle, and put the rest on the top of your deck in any order. So for Hexaorb Sorceress, she's a support card for the Hexaorb series decks. Just by calling her to the rear guard from hand while your Vanguard is Hexaorb or Pentagleam, as long as you don't mind paying the cost of counterblast 1, discard 1 card from your hand, you can check the top 2 cards of your deck and potentially call yourself 2 new rear guards or to rearrange the top cards of your deck in any order. So Hexaorb is a good way to restock your field of rear guards to attack with and boost with, or to also ensure you have a trigger on the way for your next drive check. So with Hexaorb Sorceress, we've got 4 in the deck, keeping it that way. Next up, the Great 2, Magic of Appreciation, Nanoful, skill, auto as a rear guard. When your drive check reveals a trigger unit, cost, put a card from your hand to the soul. If the cost from hate, draw a card. So Nanoful is a pretty helpful card to have in your Hexaorb deck. Just by revealing a trigger during a drive check, you have the option of taking 1 card from your hand, put it into the soul, and draw a new card. So Nanoful is a good way to stock up your soul and to draw new cards. So for Nanoful, we're playing 2 in the deck. Next up, we're playing the Great One, Magic of Revelation, Totris, skill, auto. When this unit is placed on the rear guard circle, if your Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater, then you can counterblast 1. If the cost and hate, search your deck for up to 1 Hexaorb Sorceress, reveal it, and put it into your hand, shuffle your deck. So for Totris, she's another support card for the Hexaorb series decks. Just by calling her onto the rear guard while your Vanguard is grade 3 or higher, by paying a counterblast of 1, you can search your deck for Hexaorb and add to your hand. So this is more or less a good card to let you ensure your next turn to have a Persona Rite ready. So for Totris, we're playing 3, okay. Next up, the right deck, grade 0, Tri-Connect Sorceress, skill, auto. When this unit is written upon, if you went second, draw a card. So Tri-Connect is the starter unit of this deck. Just by riding on top of her, if you went second, draw a card. We got 1 in the right deck, keeping it that way. And now for the trigger lineup. For the triggers of this deck, we're playing, let's see, the Great 0, Knight Heavenly Hammer Gurgant, gonna take him out. And the Great 0, White Fang Witch Disma, critical trigger. We got 4, taking 1 out, playing 3. Next, we're putting in the Great 0, Blade Feather Dragon, critical trigger, skill, auto as a rear guard. At the end of the battle, this unit boosted, put this into your soul. If the cost and hate, choose one of your units, it gets plus 2,000 power until end of turn. So for Blade Feather Dragon, he's a powerful critical trigger to play in your Keter Sanctuary decks. Just by boosting an attack, regardless if it hits or not, as long as you don't mind moving Blade Feather from your rear guard to the soul, you can get one of your remaining units in your field out of your Vanguard or rear guard plus 2,000 power. So for Blade Feather Dragon, it's a good way to restock your soul and to give your remaining attacking units in the field a little extra power to work with. So for Blade Feather, we're playing 4, okay. Next up, the Great 0, Bard Heavenly Song Outback, front trigger, skill, continuous as a guardian. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets plus 5,000 shield. So Outback is a pretty powerful front trigger to play in your Keter Sanctuary decks. For skill, just by guarding while your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, she gets plus 5,000 shield, ideally making Outback a 20,000 point shield on her own. So for Outback, we got 3, adding 1 in. We're playing 4 of this front trigger here. Next up, the Great 0, Circling Sorceress, heal trigger. We got 4, keeping it that way. Last but not least, the Great 0, Light Dragon, Deity of Honors, Amritonia, over trigger, skill, trigger, additional effect. Until end of turn, you also perform drive checks for the battles your rear guards attack. So for Amritonia, he's the over trigger for the Keter Sanctuary Nation. Like any other over trigger in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, he features the same skill and activation. When revealed during a drive check or damage check, you can get 100 million power and draw a card, but he also has an ability unique to him alone. When revealed during a drive check on your turn, your rear guards can also perform drive checks. So ideally, the Amritonia will give your rear guards the ability to drive check, increases the chances of getting a trigger or to simply increase your hand size to later use to guard with on your opponent's turn. So for Ambertonia, we got 1 in the deck, keeping it that way. And the deck has been built. Card effects explained. So let's first save the deck. Overwrite deck being built. Yes. Okay. And now the deck has been built. Card effects explained. For the cards of this deck, we're playing 4 Grade 3 Hexaorb Sorceress. 3 Grade 3 Knight of War damage Pasado. 4 Grade 2 Pentaqueen Sorceress. 4 Grade 2 Exquisite Knight Olwain. 4 Grade 2 Magic of Objective Kakarone. 2 Grade 2 Magic of Appreciation Nanaful. 4 Grade 1 Aegis Mare Dragon. 1 Grade 1 Tier Square Sorceress. 4 Grade 1 Diaglass Sorceress. 3 Grade 1 Magic of Revelation Tatris. 1 Grade 0 Triconnect Sorceress starting unit. And for the triggers of this deck, we're playing 7 critical triggers, 4 front triggers, 4 heal triggers, and 1 over trigger Ambertonia. Alright, so I finished building the deck, explained the card effects. Now let's get on testing out the deck. Before that, let's just change the card sleeves, change sleeves. Alright, keeping Keter Sanctuary flag sleeve is the main deck sleeve, so we're just changing the right deck sleeve. For the right deck sleeve, we're using, let's see, we're using the Team Renka sleeve as the right deck sleeve. Press Y. Alright, deck built, card effects explained, card sleeves changed. Now let's get on to testing out the deck, leaving the edit deck menu, heading to fight menu, and choosing CPU fight, choosing the deck I just built, Hexaorb Sorceress, Keter Sanctuary, D-BT03, and now choosing an opponent. For my opponent to test this deck out on, I think I'm going to use it against, let's see. I guess I'll use it against Yui Itabashi, normal difficulty. Alright, the battle begins. Let's get started. Alright, let's decide who goes first. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Paper, paper, one more time. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock to rock, one more time. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Paper to rock, I win, going first. Nice. So drawing our starting hands. Okay, let's see, I got a Diaglass Sorceress, Pasado, over trigger, Nanaful, and a critical trigger. Okay, then I guess I should hold on to these 4 cards to call with and to attack with and to guard with. I should just return the over trigger to the deck, redraw. I got a great 2, okay. Then of the Vanguard, I'm going first, I draw, okay. I'm gonna ride for my right deck, Tier Square Sorceress. For the right deck cost, let's see, I got 1 Diaglass, 1 Pasado, 2 Nanaful, a critical and a heal. Okay, no brainer. I gotta hold on to the triggers to guard with, and I can still attack with Nanaful when I ride to grade 2. Gotta hold on to grade 1, so I'll discard the grade 3 Pasado for the right deck cost. Right, Tier Square Sorceress. And okay, that's the end of my turn. My opponent's turn. My opponent rides the grade 1. Lower null, skill to grade 0, she draws a card. Go in battle phase, Vanguard to Vanguard. No guard, taking the hit. Here it comes, ride check. No trigger, safe, okay. Now 1 damage is on the way. Ow. Damage check. No trigger, Pasado, okay. Then, that's the end of my opponent's turn. My turn, I draw. Okay, I'm gonna ride for my right deck, Pentaqueen Sorceress. For the right deck cost, let's see. Okay, then I only got 1 damage, so the choice is to, Okay, then I guess I'll hold on to the triggers to guard with. and the Great One to secure a Persona Right, the Portrait. The Great One D-Glass to use skill later on, so my only choice is to discard one of the 2 copies of Nanoful in my hand. I discard 1 Nanoful to write Hexaorb Sorceress. Skill of tier square, I counterblast 1 and draw a card. I draw a critical trigger, Blade Feather, okay. And then I'm gonna call Nanoful to the rear guard. That should be enough. Go into battle phase. My Vanguard attacks the Vanguard, 10,000 power. Drive check. Yes, critical trigger, just what I needed. Critical to the Vanguard, power to Nanoful. And here we go. Not gonna activate Nanoful skill, so 2 damage on the way, and freeze. 2 damage first. Ah no, heal trigger. She gets power, but at least she wasted a heal trigger. Second check. No trigger, safe, okay. Now my Nanoful attacks the Vanguard, 20,000 power. The attack goes through, and burn, 1 damage, damage check. No trigger, okay. That's the end of my turn. My opponent's turn. My opponent rides the Great 2 Lord Normal, skill the Great 1. She shuffles her deck for the song, Romantic Happiness, and places it in the order zone. She sets another set order, Matter It 1 way, and calling the rear guard, okay. The Vanguard attacks the Vanguard, 15,000 power. Gonna take it, no guard. Here comes, drive check. No trigger, okay. So 1 damage on the way. Ow! Damage check. Heal trigger. I cannot heal, so I'll give the power to my Vanguard. And okay, rear guard attacks the rear guard. I should hold on to my rear guard, so I guess I'll ditch one of the extra copies of Disma in my hand. Guard, 25,000, attack blocked. Okay, that's all for my opponent, so they end their turn. It's my turn, I stand and draw. I drew a Great 2, okay. I'm gonna ride for my right deck, Hexaorb Sorceress. For the right deck cost, let's see. Okay, I discard. I'll hold on to the normal units to call an attack with, so I gotta hold on to the critical triggers to use Hexaorb skill with, so I'll discard the heal trigger to ride Hexaorb. Riding Hexaorb Sorceress. And now Pentagreen Sorceress skill. I look at the top 3 cards of my deck. Okay, 2 fronts and a critical. I'll leave them. I'll rearrange them in this order. Okay. Next up, I call the Great One. Fortress to the rear guard. Let's see. Call. Talking to skill, I counterblast 1 and search my deck for a copy of Hexaorb Sorceress. Adding 1 to my hand. There we go. And now I'm going to call the Great 2 Kakarot to the rear guard. Call. Skill activated. I Soul Blast 1. Tears Try Connect. And look at the top 2 cards of my deck. Front and Hexaorb, okay. I put the front on top, the Hexaorb on second. Okay. That should be enough. Go to battle phase. My Vanguard attacks the Vanguard, 13,000 power. Twin drive, first check. Front trigger, power to the front row. Hexaorb skill, I reveal the trigger, so I'm going to give 10,000 power to the rear guard Kakarot. And second, and then there's Nanoful skill. Should I use it? Let's see. I'm guaranteed a Hexaorb in my next draw, so okay. I'm going to use Nanoful skill. I add 1 card to my hand, 1 Hexaorb, and draw a card. I drew another Hexaorb. Second check, another Hexaorb. Okay. So 1 damage on the way. Here it comes. And boom. 1 damage. Ah, no, not a draw trigger. Come on. Okay. Then, Alright then. I'm going to boost it by Touchless. Nanofall attacks the Vanguard, 28,000 power. Does the attack go through? She guards, okay. And alright. Next up, my Kakaron attacks the Vanguard, 32,000 power. She guards again, 15,000 point shield. The attack does not go through. And now, that's the end of my turn, my opponent's turn. She stands and draws, she rides the grade 3, lower null. And using the grade 2 skill to search for a song, she adds Matter Red One-Way to the order zone, okay. Skill, she draws a card. Lower null skill, she sings the song, she sings the grade 1 song, Romantic Happiness, adding power and drawing a card, alright. Next up, she calls a grade 3 and sets another order card and calls a grade 1, okay. Okay, here it comes, battle phase, 13,000 power to the Vanguard. I guard, let's see, I'll guard a critical trigger, 28,000 power. I hold on to these two. Alright, attack blocks. And now here comes an attack from the Vanguard, 18,000 power. No guard, gonna take the hit. Here it comes, Twin Drive, first check. No, not a heal trigger, come on! She heals 1 damage, power to the rear guard. And second check. Ah, critical, come on, double trigger! Critical to Van, power to rear guard. Unbelievable, double trigger, this timing. Here it comes, 2 damage to me. The light shines and... Ow! Damage check first, no trigger. And second check, come on, something good. Heal trigger! Yes! I heal 1 damage, power to my Vanguard. There we go. And now, attacking from the rear guard. Total 46,000 power. Okay, then I think I'm going to guard with the front Guardian and a Great 1 Diaglass. I'll hold on to the critical later, so guard, front Guardian skill, plus 5,000 shield, 48,000. The attack is blocked. Okay, I'm safe. So that's the end of my opponent's turn. It's my turn. I stand and draw. Another critical, alright. I Persona Ride, Hexaorb Sorceress. There we go, Persona Ride, draw a card, and I activate my Vanguard skill. I Persona Ride this turn, so Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1. My Vanguard gets plus 1 drive, and I stack a trigger on top. I stack Blade Feather on top. There we go. And then I'm going to move. Okay, I'm going to call Olwain over Nanofall. Olwain skill. I Soul Blast 1. And look at the top 2 cards of my deck. Critical and Pentagleam, okay. Rearrange in this order. And now, put the card to put on top. I put Blade Feather on top. And Pentagleam on the second. Okay, that should be enough. Go into battle phase. My Vanguard attacks the Vanguard, 23,000 power. She perfect guards, not good. Here it comes. Twin triple drive for check. Critical trigger, nice. I give the critical to my Olwain, power to Kakaron. Effects added. And then I'm activating Olwain's skill. Counter Blast 1. And plus 10,000 power. And then there's Hexaorb skill, another 10,000 power to Olwain. Power up. And now, second check. Pentagleam. And third check. We need something good. Yes, front trigger, just what I needed. Power to the front row. And then I give 10,000 power to Olwain. Alright, so attack is blocked, but I can still land some pretty heavy attacks. Next up, my Kakaron attacks the Vanguard, 42,000 power. The attack goes through. And grow. Damage check. No trigger, lower no, nice. one less card to Persona right with. And now, boosted by Torturous. Oh, Wayne attacks the Vanguard. 68,000 power, 2 critical. Will it go through? Yes, it goes through. So, slash, damage check first. No trigger, and second check. Come on, nothing. Yes, critical trigger. She cannot heal. Trigger effect wasted. Alright, so the game's over. The winner is me. Not too bad. The deck worked pretty well. So I got win, double trigger, attack 60,000 more power. Did it for Soda Right, 6 turns passed. I got 1700 BP, total 5350 BP. Press A to go next. Leaving the fight, return to fight menu, and then I'm leaving the fight menu, return to main menu, and here on the main menu, back to edit deck menu, and now with that, the deck has been built, Cardfight is framed, and it just tests out the deck in front of you. So that's pretty much all the time we have for today. So first off, I want to say thank you to the viewers watching today's video, and to please stay tuned for more videos I plan to upload again in the near future. I also hope you'll show support by liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing to my videos and channel. And with that, I say goodbye and see you all.